I just moved into this house in Napomo with all my friends. And day 6 in the house, I decide to, trip a little bit. And I thought they were bunk because, 3 hours in, they were not working.
Acid or mushrooms?
Mushrooms. So 3 hours in, not feeling anything. I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. So I take the rest of the bag. An hour passes, not really feeling anything. I think it was about 4.5 or 5 grams total. And I was like, oh, fuck, man, I think they were bunk. And my friends were taking dabs outside, so I took 2 dabs. And I was like freaking out right there, after the second dab. And I thought it was just a weed. So I was like, guys, I'm going to bed. And I don't think I had my mattress there at the time. So I was sleeping on the ground in my room. And right as I turn my lights off and get in my blanket, I do a corpse pose. And all of a sudden I hear this really deep bass noise drop. And then I'm freaking out, and I can hear flies buzzing around me. Kinda, it was a really gnarly, weird feeling, I had become a corpse almost. And then I'm freaking out. I'm trying to whisper my roommate's name, asking for help. And he comes in, he's like, "Dude, what's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm dead. I died." He's like, "What?" And then he just leaves. But then I keep calling. He just I was fucking with him, I think. And he keeps I keep calling out, and he comes back. And then my other homies come in. They're like, "Jake, you okay?" I'm like, "No, dude, I'm dead." And all these guys took some dabs too, so they're all high, and now I'm making them paranoid. So they call the cops, and I'm like, "No, don't." After they call, I'm like, "No, wrong me, I'm fine." But it's too late. We get the knock at the door, and guess who the cops were? Guess what cops rolled up to our place?
That one dude?
The same 2 cops that pulled me over. And they just saw us, and I was like, and all of us were, it's all the homies I was smoking with, all of us were just like, no. And they're like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Just pretending they don't know us. And we're like, "Oh, fine." I'm crashing against the door because I'm having on top of this bad trip, I'm noticing these cops that pulled me over before. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." I'm like, "You okay, bud?" I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They're like, wait, we know you. I'm like, no, we pulled you over a couple of weeks ago. And now they're just fucking me at this point. And then they started giving us a really hard lecture about how drugs are bad and how I should have learned my lesson. And they're like, "Yo, you should take your homie to the hospital." And they're like, "Okay." So then I went to the hospital, and they just while I was having a panic attack, being in there, they're just laughing at me because they knew I was on drugs. And then I was like, "Fuck, this sucks." And they started detoxing me by just pumping water into my system. And I started sobering up and realizing what just happened. And I was just like, "Oh, this is so embarrassing. This sucks, man." And I literally sobered up in 30 minutes like that, and left. And I was couldn't look any of the nurses in the face just because I was so embarrassed. It was such a bad time. And basically what I learned was I took a heroic dose, 5 grams, and just had basically an ego death.
Ego death?
Ego death. And had just a rush of thoughts, and because I really thought that was it, I was gonna die, or I had died. And it's I had to rethink everything almost. And for the next 3 days I was kind of just blank. But I came fully back for sure. And I've done a couple trips since then, but really some people just aren't meant to trip, I think. Or maybe it's just a matter of the setting. But I figured if I'm not having a good time doing it, probably shouldn't do it anymore. So I basically stopped doing psychedelic stuff, even though I didn't really do that much. Minus the weed, if you want to classify that as a psychedelic.
Nah, I don't think weed's a psychedelic. Unless you're taking fucking dozens and dozens and dozens, if not 100 milligram plus edibles. Because that's when it gets oh my god, I can't.
It's true.
Fuck.